What did I just read? Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher. And this was a wild, wild ride. I feel like the best way to describe Beyond Redemption is just like taking a vacation into a very disturbed mind. And just knowing Fletcher and having interacted with him before, I'm just like, this is just like him letting his imagination run wild, which makes sense and is fitting because that's sort of the premise of this book. And the series is called Manifest Delusions, and the premise here is that in this world, essentially, if your delusions are strong enough, or whatever you believe, if you believe is strong enough, it will be true. And there is a group of people who basically are trying to create a new god by getting enough people to believe in the god, and then it will become a god. So I have been fascinated by this for a long time. This is actually the first book I was planning to read by Michael R. Fletcher because the concept is fascinating. But I ended up starting the Obsidian Path, which I really loved, of course. So I just finally have gotten back to this, and it, like I said, was just an absolutely wild ride. This is a very, very much, I think, fitting of the grimdark type of thing. This is a very dark world. Everything is pretty dark here, and when it's just a bunch of people, basically, that if they think something strongly enough, it's going to be true, the things that are going to happen are going to be pretty messy, and that is definitely the case here. And throughout this, we do also actually spend a lot of time with kind of a character study and with introspection, and I know that's not everybody's thing, because I know some people who weren't a huge fan of Obsidian Path didn't like the amount of introspection. That is something I immensely enjoyed about that, and so if you liked those aspects in Obsidian Path, well, this has an entirely different feel. This is a lot more chaotic, and just kind of crazy, which once again, it's called Manifest Delusions. I feel like that's a given. But still, we get a lot of that, and looking at it, and the analysis of what reality really is when anybody can kind of change it. You know, like we have a character here who believes he is the greatest swordsman in the world, and whenever he's getting into a duel, he has to like convince other people he's the greatest swordsman, because if they believe it, then he'll be able to defeat the opponent. You know, that's an example of a thing here. Or, you know, if you really truly believe something and you have these kind of like priests, or I guess they're not all priests, but it's a Gefahrgeist, which many of the words are really difficult to pronounce in this book. But a Gefahrgeist, especially a powerful one, is just basically somebody whose delusions are strong enough that they give themselves power because they have these strong enough delusions, and then they can, you know, in some cases control other people or do these other things. It's just that is kind of the whole basis here. There also are throughout, and I should have picked some out because I didn't pick any out, but I feel like this is a fitting one. There are little like epigraphs at the beginning of each chapter that are just kind of quotes from like in-world people or philosophers, which also fits so well because they're all a little bit strange. But the one I happen to flip to is chapter 27, and it says, "Damn this cursed sanity! How is being a helpless prisoner of reality sane?" By Geistesgesund. Which I'm probably mispronouncing, but like I said, a lot of discussion there, and the little quotes and things as well do they're usually very short, but they do just add something more because you're hearing about these different thoughts about the nature of reality, gods, and that kind of thing, and there's something that's so interesting about just diving in here. This is definitely, like I said, it just kind of feels like you're just diving into this world, and it's just everything's chaotic around you. There is a story, there's a point here, and like with the way that this one ends, I'm still really curious to see where it's going to go. But this is definitely, I think, intended to be also somewhat disjointed, kind of between scenes and between what's happening with characters, because it is just such a unique premise. And, you know, like we might have a character, and we do in fact, we have a character who's like trying to go do something, and they get pulled away from it because somebody else with more powerful delusions kind of sucks them into their own world, and then things go on from there, and it's just a wild, wild time. And in this world, we have things like I said, part of the core premise is they're trying to create a god and give powers there. We've got people with fire magic. We have mirrors where like your reflections can actually potentially like come out. or have other aspects, and that's an aspect with mirror magic. Mirror magic can also be used for like scrying and figuring out what's going on. You have doppels, which I finally know. I figured doppel meant doppelganger of some sort, but there's definitely more to it. And I know that he uses that word. And some other stuff, so I finally know the origin of that here as well. But doppels, where basically it's your delusions create other like aspects of yourself essentially as well. And so we see things like that. There are undead like creatures fighting. There are just so many crazy, unique, dark aspects here. There are people who just are so strong in their delusions, they just go around taking people as slaves essentially. It is just absolutely a wild, one of the just kind of craziest, most messed up things, like worlds I've ever read. And it's just like I said, this is the kind of thing you just kind of dive into and go from there. And it's a little harder to talk about because of that, because it's just so wild. I don't even know how to describe or talk about some things without getting really specific. But the back of the book literally starts with violent and dark. The world is filled with the Geisteskranken, men and women whose delusions manifest, twisting reality. And that's like I said, this sort of premise, I've never really seen anything like it. Like I said, like kind of belief is important in a lot of things, but just seeing this world and how messed up it is, and the fact that it makes total sense. If reality was this controlled by delusions, it would be a pretty messed up place. And so just seeing it, the characters, like I said, we do get actually fairly deep on some of the characters as well, in interesting and usually kind of dark ways as well. But just the winding path, like I said, was just a lot of fun. If you like the dark and twisted, the grim, the insane, this is definitely one for you. If you aren't really into those things, like I said, this is kind of hard to recommend. I have a feeling this is one of those books that will probably go one of two ways for people. Some people would just be like, I don't like this at all, I didn't get it, and my characters don't like the world. Other people will be like, oh, this is so cool. And I definitely fell into this is so cool kind of camp here. It's such a like oddball, nuts kind of story, premise, and world, and I was really interested digging in, and I'm really excited to see what else Fletcher is going to throw at us in this series. I know there's two more books out here, The Mirror's Truth and Swarm in Steel, I think. So I definitely will be looking to pick those up and continue this, because this has just been wild, and I was really glad. I've been meaning to read more Fletcher. Like I said, this is very different in feel to Obsidian Path, but I really liked Obsidian Path, and I have multiple other Fletcher books that I've been meaning to get to, and so I was really glad to finally get to this one. Let me know if you've read this and what your thoughts are on it. Like I said, I could see it going either way, but this was just this was a crazy one and a hell of a ride kind of going through. So yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description. As always, for it, there was a do a Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, any books, really anything at all. It is a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.